Greetings, Goldberg Tower residents, and welcome to the Disaster Workshop presentation. Today, I'm going to discuss with you the importance of having a getaway bag. Now, the Goldberg management team here has already discussed with you the things they can do, what they're responsible for, what you're responsible for in a disaster. I'm not going to reiterate those topics. I'm going to discuss with you the getaway bag, why you need it, what's in it, how does it work. Now you're looking here at a deluxe king-size version of a getaway bag. It's a Samsonite travel luggage. It has the wheels. You do not have to have a bag this large. It's a bag I've had with me since I've lived at Goldberg, but you do not have to have one this big. Your bag can be much smaller. Let me show you. A bag this size will suffice as a getaway bag for your needs. Now, the important thing about bags like this is the wheels. Always make sure, if you can, to get one that has wheels and a handle. Because if you're living, say for instance, you're living on the 9th floor of Goldberg Towers. In an emergency where you have to get out immediately, fire, water damage, the first responders are going to say, use the stairwells, especially in a fire. You may not have elevator usage. Dragging down something that doesn't have wheels is going to be difficult for some elderly citizens. You need the wheels because you can pull the bag down the stairs without damaging the bag or its contents. Now, getting to the bags, you got to understand something. You're going to pack a bag for yourself, for family. Every family member should have a bag. And that family member you might forget is your pet. Have a small, tiny bag for the pet. They're a family member. These bags should be stored in your apartment in one central location, so you don't have to run all over the apartment to get everybody's bag. Keep them all together, easily accessible. That way, when the time comes, you won't waste any time having to find your bag. Let me emphasize also, in a disaster, the most serious type, say for instance a fire disaster, fire responders, the fire department are going to make you leave immediately. You won't have time to put a getaway bag together in your apartment. There just won't be time. You have to get out. When you have your bag packed and ready, you can grab it, grab the family members, they get theirs, you go out, walking out your door, and keep in mind, you may not be walking, you may be running to get out. You don't want to have anything to slow you down or hamper you. Okay, now, each type of emergency is different. Here in Houston, we don't have to deal with massive fires like they have on the West Coast. We have mostly the imminent danger every year with hurricanes and heavy rains and flooding. But the one danger that we do have here on a daily basis, every day, 24/7, is fire. A fire emergency, you're going to have to get out. If the apartment above you or below you has a fire, alarms are going to go off. The apartment that's above you, the sprinklers are going to come out and flood that apartment with 250 gallons per minute of water. It's got to go somewhere. It's going to come down to you. You got to get out of that apartment, and you're going to have to stay out of it for quite some time. Now, when you pack a getaway bag, you don't want to pack like you're moving. You want enough in here to last you at least 2 to 3 days in clothing. You're going to need at least 3 days worth of your prescription meds. Why? Because in a hurricane, you may not be able to go to a pharmacy and get a refill for 3 days, if not more. The other thing that you need that's very important, there's two. The most critical is your meds and your important critical papers. Okay, let's look at the bag and see what I've got in this bag that you will probably want to duplicate with your bag. First of all, everybody today has a cell phone. A cell phone is critical. A lot of us don't keep it fully charged every day. If you don't, try to keep it at least halfway charged. However, when you pack this bag, do not forget your cell phone charger. A dead cell phone is useless. Most places that you will have to go to, shelters in place, homes, whatever, will have electricity. So the charger is critical. Have it with this bag. Okay, now, I have, in fact, an extra charger just in case my original charger is defective. Can't do anything without that charger. Also, you don't need an expensive flashlight, a huge one that's, see if I can get this sucker to work. This takes 2 of the AA batteries. It's all you need. You don't need to buy one of these super long type of flashlights that firemen carry, police carry. It's too big. It takes up too much of your room. You won't use it that much. Okay. All right. Now, let's get down to something very important for all of you and all of me. First of all, have paper and pens, ballpoint pens, pencils, that kind of thing. You will always need to write down information, phone numbers, instructions. Have that if you can. It's very cheap. You don't need to spend a lot of money for that, but have it in your bag ready. Another thing that a lot of people don't consider and should consider, a roll of quarters. Every vending machine today will take quarters and dollar bills. Some even take a $5 bill. You will need this. Laundry, food items, and so forth. Talking about food items, don't pack your bag with a bunch of canned goods. It'll take too much room. You don't want to do that. Granola bars and energy bars are fine. Another important thing you want to keep in your bag is bottled plastic water. Get at least 3 bottles for 3 days. You're not going to be able to, if you're going to be put in a shelter in place or any facility temporarily, they will provide water and food. You just need water when you're thirsty. You're not going to bathe with it. Now, let me show you another very important thing to have is your critical paperwork. This is it for me. It's in a plastic sealable bag. A Ziploc bag that you buy at the grocery store, the large size, will accommodate most folders where you can keep your critical papers dry. If they're wet or waterlogged, they will be useless to you. Okay. I have extra checks. You have to write a check for rent. You may have to write a check for expenses. Have extra checks, your checkbook. These are my critical papers. I have, all I need is right here. Now, let me explain something to you about the critical papers. A lot of people will ask you, what papers? Okay, let me describe to you what critical papers are. You do not need the originals. If you have them, fine. Photocopies will do. What you want to have is your driver's license, a copy of your birth certificate, Social Security and Medicare cards, power of attorneys, and proof of address. Your insurance, Medicare and Medicaid, Social Security forms, your immunization records, your people who are from foreign countries, immigration forms, so forth and so on. That is stuff that people interviewing you from the Red Cross, FEMA, government agencies will require you to present to them in good condition. So those are some of the records you must have with you when you carry it in your getaway bag. Now then, I also suggest that you keep your credit cards, your Medicare card, your Social Security in protective cases like this, so that you have them on hand, they can't get damaged or waterlogged or anything like that. My checkbook. Okay, what else can we show you in the bag? Okay. Like I told you, you don't need the super giant like this. A smaller bag will do. Close up, Sherry. This is what's inside my bag. You can arrange your bag the way you see fit. Have at least 3 days worth of clothing. That would be underwear, socks, your t-shirts, so forth, shirts you would wear going to a meeting or so forth. Now, this bag will accommodate 3 days worth easily. I have pants, I have shirts, underwear. If you can get another pair of extra shoes to fit in, by all means put that in there. Don't put big boots or stuff in there. Ladies and gentlemen, these are my meds. You can carry all your meds in a plastic bag that you can seal. I have my toiletries in here. All of that is here together where I can get it in one spot. Believe it or not, something like this will come in handy. Water bottles for drinking. I have a lot of extra plastic bags. You're going to have trash, things you want to discard. You can't just throw it next to your neighbor. You got to keep it separate. Okay, now, all of this is in my bag, ready when I have it packed for me to go out the door. I can survive now easily for 3 days without worrying. The Goldberg management team here has probably told you, you will be probably placed, if it's the worst case scenario, in another residential location. Water and food will be provided there. If there is an availability and the disaster is not that serious, you may be put in another apartment at Goldberg Towers. Water and food are still going to be provided. Now, let me also emphasize to you, Goldberg Towers and the Goldberg management is not going to buy you one of these bags or furnish you with the contents of that kind of thing. All of this is something you must do yourself. And it is not expensive. Everybody living here can afford to do this without a single problem. Let me make sure I've covered everything for you. Oh, something I haven't thought about. Eyeglasses. Pack an extra pair. You never know what can happen. If you step on it, drop it, crack it, you need another pair. If you are on oxygen, don't try to pack the big oxygen bottle that you have in your apartment. Try to use one of the portable units. You will need it to survive. The portable units will suffice. People who have insulin and have to take injections for diabetes, the bag is not a good place to store stuff that needs refrigeration. See what your physician will tell you as an alternative option. Very important. It's life-threatening for a lot of people. Well, here's the other thing. I've talked to you that don't put a lot of food in here. Water's the only drink you want to carry. I've told you about the money. I want to thank you for participating in the disaster workshop with the Goldberg management team. This particular bag section is important for your getaway in an emergency. Goldberg isn't going to carry you in their arms. It's every man for themselves. Now, you're thinking, how could I worry about a disaster in a 9-story concrete building like this? It'll never happen. That's right. It may not happen in 100 years, but it could happen as early as tonight. Are you ready? Do you have a getaway bag ready to have when you need to escape? If not, get one as soon as possible. Thank you for your participation, and I'll be seeing you all later. Bye-bye.